Have you ever wondered why one day you're on top of the world and you're invincible and take everything on that comes your way, and the next day you feel like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders? Yet nothing really happened different in those 2 days, but we feel so different. And this is why mental health is something that affects us all, whether we're aware of it or not, whether we're conscious and we acknowledge it or not. And in today's episode, I want to talk about what mental health means to me. I want to share where I've been on my mental health journey that's included anxiety, depression, insomnia, antidepressants, ADHD, burnout, you name it. I've kind of been there in many ways. But then I want to also share with where I'm at now, thankfully a lot better, although every day is some sort of challenge. But importantly, how I got there. So this is going to be a two-part episode. And mental health is a topic where a lot of people may feel it's a bit depressing, it's a bit heavy. But for me, I want this episode, like all of my episodes, to have some energy, to be built around positivity, hope, gratitude, mindset, and perspective. Because ultimately, where we stand and look and view something in life, we see a very, very different outcome. So how can we work out all of these things into one to work from where we are now to have a more consistent, happier, better, more filled life, and of course be then able to help others along the way. So this is Life with Paul M, and welcome back to another episode where I do share my life journey of the roller coaster of the ups and downs and the painful and expensive life lessons that I've learned along the way. I'll share some successes and good decisions that I managed to make as well. But I want to share it all wrapped up together to leave people feeling more upbeat. You know, life happens, how we react to it, that's on us. That's on us even. And you might get the odd stumble over my words, but I record it in one take, not really with any notes. So we just go for it. You might have seen me with my daughter's ukulele. She's now got a violin, so I might pick up this and play this along the way. And you might even see, if you're lucky, a special guest that's in the house today if she comes to say hello. So then, let's go back. What does mental health mean to me? Mental health is almost like the computer in your brain, but it also feels like it sits in your belly and your chest at times, that tells you how you feel. Are you ready to take the world on? Is the wind behind your sails driving you forward or almost by magic? Or are you running uphill in the wind and the rain with heavy legs, with not much hope? That for me is mental health from such different perspectives. So in my 20s, mental health for me, it wasn't really a word that was talked about. I knew nothing about it. If I heard about it, I probably thought it was a bit strange, a bit weird, maybe even a weakness. You know, I was quite, not much empathy or understanding. You could also say a bit emotionally immature as well. And I never really had my mental health battles until I hit my early 30s and my 40s. I did though start seeing a mental health, a life counsellor in my late 20s. And it was going through a relationship at the time and I was struggling with commitment issues, and he helped me realise that I wasn't quite ready yet. But I became fascinated with being able to talk to somebody who could help me unpack and unravel what I was about in my brain, and almost to give it me back in the right, nice, polite order, not polite, neat order of my thinking, to give better clarity, better judgment. So I started seeing this life coach in my late 20s. And nowadays, everybody's got a life coach. You know, if you look at the millionaires and the billionaires, successful business people, you look at the athletes, the sports stars, you look at the celebrities, you look at a lot of people who are very, very, very successful. They all have mindset coaches. And they might put different labels on it, but the stigma's been broken down now, because ultimately it's about how do you tap into your mind to rewire it and give it a different perspective and an energy and get the very best out of you. So I started on that journey 20 odd years ago, and I still, even now, from time to time, see this life coach. In fact, I had a meeting with him just last week as a mediator with my ex-wife to discuss a few little points that we didn't quite agree on. I'll do another episode probably on the challenges of co-parenting, but the importance of that another time. So this life coach has been invaluable to me. mental health for me really started kicking in though in my early 30s. I lost my mum. I grew up with the most beautiful upbringing, and my mum and my dad. But I always had a fear of losing a parent. It was almost holding me back a little bit in life as a bit of a cloud, because I loved them so dearly that I just thought my world would crumble. And to be honest, my world did shatter. My heart shattered into a million pieces. And I was probably 32. And I always loved that hedonistic party lifestyle, but it pushed me right down it. I was drinking excessively. I was pushing all of my vices to the limits. Yes, I loved them, but they was going to unhealthy areas, looking back. And I kind of mentioned before, the anxiety, the depression, failed businesses in my 30s. So all of a sudden, mental health became something very, very real for me. Fast forward then to my early 40s, and I was going through, or mid 40s, going through a split, a divorce, which I didn't want. I was very aware of the impact that it can have on children, parents splitting up. So my little daughter, she's my world. I wanted to protect her from that. I had to go through a divorce, relocation. My dad got terminal cancer. My dad passed away, struggling with business, got diagnosed with ADHD. I'd been on antidepressants. I was facing burnout with work on a regular basis. I even ended up on an ECG heart machine once. Such was the levels I was pushing myself. Anxiety, insomnia, you name it. I've been through quite a few of those challenges. And I'll smile, because I think part of life is about finding the sun that's coming through the cloud. The sun is always there. It's just covered by the cloud, and the cloud always passes. It's like those surfers in Hawaii that ride them huge waves. And I always say when I'm going through mental health difficulty, or if I speak to somebody, is imagine you're on a surfboard, just hang on as tight as you can, because that wave always goes still in the end. So for me, I want to talk about then leading into how things have got better with me with mental health. Well, it can be, and I'll touch more of this in part 2, but it's things like exercise. It's a gratitude kind of routine that I now, go through in a daily process. It's life perspective, how things could be. Could they be better? Sure. Could they be worse? I've even tapped into spirituality, which I knew nothing about 3 years ago. I've even had a spiritual awakening, believe it or not, and a near-death experience in Peru. In a road trip to Route 66 in America, with an enlightenment, a moment of where everything's changed. I've been on a real interesting ride here. I've tried plant medicines, natural plant medicines from the Amazon rainforest, which has helped change my life. I've tapped very much into mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's taking control of the mind to be more in the moment and stop the overthinking. I also realized that the food that we eat isn't just to get muscles from going to the gym. The food that we eat and the gut health massively affects our mental health and our emotions as well. So I've really been tapping into this, because I know it's vital. Our mind is like a supercomputer that tells us what direction are we going to go in today. So I think I've gone in a few different directions here. Let's see if our mystery guest will come and say hello. Daisy, come and say hello to everybody. Daisy, come on. Here she is. Can you see her? There she is. I'm looking after little Daisy. We've got a Yorkshire Terrier who lives with my ex-wife, but I'm looking after her for a few days. Daisy, come on, darling. Come on. No. Well, she might be back for more in episode 2. But thanks for joining me in episode 1. The time's gone quick. I feel like I've been babbling on a little bit, but hopefully I've set the scene now for what I'm going to provide in episode 2 that talks about how I put the tools together. I've also got episodes that are out there on mindset, on perspective and gratitude. So again, these are all parts of tools that I've tapped into. Anyway, I'm going to finish there on episode 1. And thanks for joining me. And if there's anybody you think that's going through a bit of a mental health growth journey, because it's not just about healing. A lot of people are very judgmental, like to look at mental health or the self-development world of healing, weakness, blah, blah, blah. Healing for me is actually a huge area of strength, because it means you're looking to first of all acknowledge and be honest about the areas that you would like to live a better life and release yourself from. Then it's a huge growth and a self-development that you do with it. You know, and I talk about in one episode about courage is being able to look your fears deep in the eyes and walk through them. That takes courage, that's self-development, and it's including the healing. You know, I've got friends who still think and do the same in their 40s and 50s. It's not a criticism, but they've not taken those, what I think is evolution of self-development and leaps forward. But you're only going to, from my experience, take those leaps forward if you face your fears, if you face areas of difficulty in life, and if you're honest and part your ego at the door, because that's where the growth comes in. Because for me, life is about same formula, pretty much same result. If you want a different result, you need to look at it differently. Whether that's the people you surround yourself with, that's the activities and hobbies that you do, things that you're open to trying, and how you view life through your eyes. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Same glass, but very different feeling. Anyway, thank you for joining me on Life with Paul M, part 1, and make sure you tune in for part 2 coming up next week. Thank you.